This is CBC Here and Now.
$8 million is a lot of money.
Can the Corner Brook Mill absorb Trump's new tariff?
I got everything that I wished for, right? So, I mean, I can go happy.
Diane Bishop passes away, but her family says her advocacy work lives on.
It was just the right time and the right project for me and the right fit.
Keely Hutton gets ready for her Broadway debut.
Temperatures on the rise through Thursday and right into Friday. After that, it's special weather statements in place as a messy mix rolls in for the weekend. The details are coming up.
A roller coaster of emotion for one Mount Pearl cancer patient has come to an end. Today, a flood of condolences poured in for Diane Bishop's family.
Bishop passed away early yesterday, but her family says her cancer advocacy work will continue.
Here now's Carolyn Stokes introduced us to Diane Bishop, and she's here with us now.
Carolyn, such a sad turn of events when there was optimism for and from Diane Bishop.
Absolutely, and optimism really is the right word. When we last saw Diane, she was so full of hope. We first met her when she called us with a big problem. She had late-stage cancer, her health was deteriorating, but she couldn't afford to quit her job because the benefits she would receive would barely cover her mortgage. Now, she knew she wasn't alone in her struggle and wanted to share her experience, and it was that story that really resonated with people.
It is a realization that you have cancer when you have a bald head, right?
A big smile, even though stage 4 breast cancer had spread to her lung and her hip. 3 attempts at chemotherapy didn't stop the cancer, but despite her failing health, Diane had more immediate concerns.
It's difficult that you face these challenges, and then on top of it, to face how do I live?
Not physical survival, but financial survival. This single mother of 2 adult sons managed a convenience store in Mount Pearl, but instead of focusing on her health, Diane kept working. She couldn't afford not to.
But basically, once I leave my work, I have no income to survive.
As a middle-income earner, the benefits she'd receive would barely cover her $1,000 a month mortgage.
How do we buy groceries? How do we, pay normal household bills? We don't.
Diane's struggle hit a nerve. The day after her story aired, strangers began showing up at her store with cash donations.
There's no words to express how I feel, but you can see by the smile on my face, it's given me a wonderful outlook on how people pull together when somebody needs something done.
It gave her a boost, emotionally and financially. Thousands of dollars, enough to cover the expense of a clinical trial in Toronto. But that was October. 1 month later, a dramatic turn of events.
We were all jumping and screaming. It was like, oh my God, like we actually won this. And our financial troubles are gone.
Thanks to $1.5 million, the Super Set for Life jackpot.
I can pay all our debts off, and we get a clean slate. It makes life a whole lot easier.
So Diane retired.
The fact that she doesn't have to stress out so much will definitely aid in helping her with her treatments.
Then, another big win. She learned the new chemotherapy treatment was working.
It has shrunk some of the cancer that is in my lung and has actually healed part of the bone in my leg. All I kept saying is, I'm not going to Toronto. I'm home for Christmas.
Home for Christmas with her family and a new hope for more time.
I know I can't beat stage 4 because, you're a ticking time bomb. But it's given me hope that, maybe you can go dormant for a while, or maybe you can disappear for a while, and, I can live my life. But, if I don't, I got everything that I wish for, right? So, I can go happy, right? But I'm just not going yet.
Hard to hear now. And Diane did make it through Christmas, but died yesterday, her family by her side.
It was amazing. I remember the night you reported on the lottery win. We talked about it finally we see somebody who's so deserving of that.
Absolutely.
And it's following her story, though, we saw how advanced her cancer was, but still the death comes as a shock and a surprise.
It really does, and you know, it's only been a month and a half since that last interview, and you could see that Diane at the time was just so optimistic, so determined. And you know, I checked my phone, and the last contact I had with her, it was through text message, and she sent me a text saying, "Can't wait to see the next story." Oh my. That made me sad.
Thanks so much, Carolyn.
And now to Corner Brook, where people are reacting to a new tariff being smacked on newsprint headed for the United States. About half the mill's total production heads to the United States, and that has some people questioning the very future of Corner Brook Pulp and Paper. Here now's Colleen Connors reports.
Well, this statement from the Department of Commerce in the U.S. really has a lot of people in this town upset today. The mayor says it's always difficult when the biggest industrial tenant in your town gets slapped with a tariff. But the city and the Board of Trade do not believe that this place will be shutting down anytime soon. Even through the thick snow and wind, you can't miss the giant pulp and paper mill in the center of the city. The familiar smell, the thick steam pumping into the breeze.
It's still the cornerstone. It is still what founded Corner Brook. It is still the main part of what's driving the local area, the local economy. So it's an important aspect of our economy. $8 million is a lot of money. I'm optimistic that it's something that Corner Brook Pulp and Paper can absorb and can work with.
The paper mill could be paying up to $8.3 million annually in new duties, as it's facing a tariff of almost 10% on exports to the U.S.
I'm concerned about the profitability and sustainability of the mill. It has been doing well over the last couple of years, and I'd like to see that continue.
This large industrial operation brings money to the area and the province, up to $400 million a year. The mayor says it's very important that it stays running.
Oh, of course it's a concern. Anytime you have, like I said, your major industrial tenant taking a hit like this, you know, how fair this tariff is one thing. It just shows we're not out of the reach of the crazy politics that are going on in the States now, and the protectionism and the Donald Trump factor. So it's not pleasant, but I'm optimistic that we can find a way through it.
Mayor Parsons does not believe that the mill will close over this. With good, strong energy from Deer Lake Power Supply, a lot of infrastructure in the area, and a weaker dollar, he feels that the mill will overcome these challenges. Now, as for this tariff, well, it's very much a wait-and-see game right now. It's not clear how much of the 10% tariff will be put in place. That will come later this year. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
Obviously a big story, not just for Corner Brook, but for whole areas in the West Coast. So what's driving the Americans' decision to bring in this 10% duty? Officials, they're still analyzing the math, but the province's big loan to help the mill likely factored into this. The question is, was that loan a subsidy? The Premier doesn't think so.
We've always looked at the $110 million as a loan. This was a commercial transaction that is secured by an asset in Newfoundland and Labrador, Deer Lake Power. So we've always looked at that as a transaction that would be done between, you know, businesses, government, sometimes a business, but it is a loan. This is not a direct subsidy.
CBC News has learned taxpayers will spend a lot of money to pay out severance for NAPE members. Almost 20,000 of them are in the process of voting on the tentative agreement. It also includes a 4-year wage freeze and a no layoff clause. If approved, employees will get 1 week of pay for each year of service. That will cost about $250 million. The government hopes that the final pay...
When it comes to severance, they are liabilities that exist on a government's balance sheet. And they're there if it's for management employees, or they're there if they're for union employees. So at what point that gets paid out and what that process looks like, that liability exists on the government on the government finances. So it's there whether you pay it out in 2017 or is there whether you pay it out at future dates.
Well, police have arrested a man in connection with the break-in, more of a bash-in really, at a Dominion pharmacy in St. John's where a stolen backhoe was used to tear out a wall. This was the scene at the Dominion store on Blackmarsh Road early on the morning of New Year's Day. Quite the way to start 2018. An investigation determined that somebody stole a backhoe from the parking lot of another business and then used it to bust into the Dominion pharmacy. Police believe that person was 30-year-old Daryl Deneef. He is facing a charge of theft over $5,000, as well as a charge of break and entry. Deneef will be back in court next month.
Deer Lake Airport is reporting a drop in the number of people who passed through its doors in 2017. Officials say passenger traffic was trending higher for the first 8 months of the year, but decreased significantly between September and December. More than 365,000 people traveled to or from the airport. That's about 900 fewer than in the previous year. The airport thinks the declining traffic had to do with the winding down of Muskrat Falls construction.
Frustration last night for some people in downtown St. John's. A snowplow struck a power pole in the Bond Street, Prescott Street area. The result was a power failure after the transformer smashed to the ground, and it hauled down a whole bunch of wires as it happened. This event occurred just after 9 o'clock, and it temporarily cut power to a number of streets in the area. All right, not quite sure whether the weather is to blame for the power outage this time or not.
Always indirectly the weather is to blame, right?
A lot of people are waiting to hear you talk about those warmer temperatures. Some people are fed up with the cold, and we're only in the beginning of January.
And the wind
Was bitter today, for sure. All across the province, the winds were a little bit stronger over eastern parts of Newfoundland, but have a look at these temperatures right now. -9 in St. John's, -11 in Gander, Badger, Corner Brook, -18 in Happy Valley Goose Bay, and -20 in Labrador City. So it's cold, but when you factor in the wind, it's even colder, feeling closer to -20 in St. John's, feeling closer to -30 in Western Labrador, and -36 along the north coast. So yeah, it's chilly. Also tracking a little bit of snow out there, a little round of flurries working down through Metro as we speak, but this is a brief shot that will move through and then clear through the overnight. Onshore flurries do continue for the west coast. If you're hitting the roads this evening, do keep that in mind, that they're going to continue to be on the go as they have been all day. Our latest low, though, is departing, and things are going to be clearing out for a short period of time. The biggest change that we're going to be seeing over the next 24 hours is not only those flurries coming to an end in the east and the west, but the winds shifting to southwesterly will bottom out tomorrow morning. Temperatures really climbing quickly through the day tomorrow. By the end of the day, we're near the freezing mark. Yes, some flurry chances, even some drizzle along the south coast of the island, and good chance of flurries across Labrador as well, but temps on the rise, and really temps will rise into the Friday time period. We'll talk about that coming up with your full weather forecast in just a few. Anthony?
All right, thanks, Ryan. Well, a brand new elementary school in Gander is plagued by an unwelcome smell.
Very unwelcome. Gander Elementary opened this school year just a few hundred meters from a sewage plant. As Here Now's Garrett Barry reports, kids are plugging their noses.
First week back at Gander Elementary. A good chance to catch up with friends. There's only one problem. School stinks.
It smells like sewer, and sometimes we can't even go outdoors, and our teacher has to close the windows because it smells that bad.
The culprit? A sewage treatment plant. It was built in 1978. It was supposed to close before this new school, just a stone's throw away, was opened.
It's, I'd say, about 100 to 200 feet away. It's very sad because she loves being outside, especially recess. It's time for them to have a break, to get outside, to run around, and they actually can't do it because the smell is so bad when they go out that they get nauseous.
How do the kids feel?
They say it smells like cow manure, or it smells really bad.
It smells like cow poop.
Yeah.
Town Hall says this plant will be replaced in 2019.
Certainly not suggesting that, people should just suck it up and not worry about it. I mean, obviously it's an inconvenience, and it's not pleasant. But in the current situation, given where we are now, we can't do anything about how we got here. Given where we are now, what we're trying to do is rectify this as soon as possible. And unfortunately, as soon as possible means a couple of years.
The town also says there's no health issues having this plant right here. As for the school district, they are using air filters in their building. Of course, that only works inside. So out here, you're just going to have to, grin and bear it. Garrett Barry, CBC News, Gander.
Diane Bishop preferred hats and scarves like this one as she was battling her disease. Her last wish for people to make donations here at Daffodil Place, where people like her have two fights, one fighting the disease and the other struggling to pay the bills.
Before her death yesterday, Diane Bishop wanted to make a difference for people with cancer. As Carolyn Stokes reported this evening, Bishop couldn't afford to leave her job while she battled stage 4 cancer.
And then, as you see, she won a lottery, something that just won't happen to most cancer victims. I went to Daffodil Place, where Diane Bishop received a lot of help, to meet the head of the provincial chapter of the Canadian Cancer Society, Matthew Piercy. Diane Bishop's passed away. What are your thoughts now about Diane Bishop?
Diane Bishop's a very passionate person. She had a very strong passion for her family and the welfare of her family. She had a very difficult battle, and she really faced that in a positive manner. Just a great individual.
What's interesting about part of her story, as you know, is this remarkable fact that she ends up winning the lottery. She talked to Carolyn Stokes in Here and Now about the fact that she was having a hard time making ends meet. Not everybody's going to win the lottery, Matthew, as you well know. How many patients were in the same position she was in, just struggling to pay the bills?
Yeah, so, I mean, we're doing our interview here today at Daffodil Place, so I meet so many people across our province, Newfoundland, and throughout Labrador. And unfortunately, I hear this story many, many times. People that have to travel into their cancer appointments here at St. John's and not having that funding that they can really support themselves. I've heard of people who said they didn't want to come in for treatments because they wanted to maintain the level of income that they have in their homes, back in their home communities. Some people have to sell off belongings in order to come in and receive their treatments. We try to support them the best way we can, providing affordable accommodations here at Daffodil Place, helping them with the financial assistance regarding travel the best way that we can. But there's still a lot of work that we need to do to help support people who are diagnosed with cancer.
Now, she was working at her Needs franchise in Mount Pearl, and of course when she first went public she said, you know, I still have to come and work in the convenience store just to make ends meet. What sorts of financial supports do people facing those kinds of treatments need? I mean, it's remarkable that someone will say, okay, it's too expensive, I'm not going to come in for my treatments.
Exactly. Well, what you don't understand is, so when someone gets diagnosed with cancer, there's so many stresses that they may undergo. Is the stress of the diagnosis and what's next, what are the next steps. There's stresses when it comes to, I have to leave my home community. Who's going to look after my family, my children that are home? If I'm in a job that's supporting my family, what happens then? Do I have any support financially? A lot of times communities come together and help support people. Organizations such as the Canadian Cancer Society would do the same the best way that we can. But I mean, the statistics show that more and more people are getting diagnosed with cancer in Newfoundland and Labrador and throughout Canada. We're getting diagnosed earlier, and we need to have the supports in place to help support people through this journey that can be very expensive when you're talking about the cost of travel, you're talking about the cost of medications themselves.
Right.
So there is a lot of hidden fees that people don't understand.
So where should the financial support come from?
Well, we need assistance from our government to help support treatments and help support medications that we have. And we do have programs. It's just that we really need to do an evaluation of a lot of these programs to ensure that people are getting the best and the highest quality service that they require.
Matthew Piercy, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Obviously, a lot of people go in those doors when they face the difficulties that Diane did. But one thing I didn't realize, the wigs, she preferred hats and scarves, but a lot of people prefer wigs. They cost thousands of dollars.
Thousands.
Thousands, yeah. They're not cheap, right?
And one thing, Diane had many wishes, but one thing was to draw attention to the severe economic challenge it is battling cancer in addition to everything else. So
it's true.
Good for her. A Canadian Hall of Famer will tell you which two athletes can now use that moniker.
Welcome back to Here and Now. Of course, this kind of cold weather might be the kind of weather where you want to grab a hot beverage at some point during the day.
Yeah.
How cold was it?
How cold was it? Tim's is a quick walk, and so myself and our editor Paul Pickett walked just over to the Aqua Arena there. We almost deserted the coffees and said, we got to get back because we're going to freeze to death out here. Right. Well, neither of us were really dressed for it, unfortunately. I should know better. But anyway, it's that cold. And when you're talking about wind chill values in the -20 range right now for St. John's,
unbelievable.
I think even Fido is going to try and cut it short on the walk around the block this evening for sure. Bundle up. But there's some good news. As we've been mentioning, the temps are on the rise. -9 right now in St. John's, -20. Again, you can see -18 in Happy Valley Goose Bay, -20 Labrador City to the north coast. And those sustained winds in the 40 to 50 kilometer per hour range along that northeast coast, a little bit lighter through central towards the west, and sustained near 60 in Nain. So really howling along that north coast right now. There are your gusts, closer to 70 in Nain, 60 in St. John. So it is a little on the breezy side out there. Hence those wind chill values into the -20s across the island, -30s across Labrador. There goes our system. And with that system departing, the winds easing off tonight. And then our next system will roll in over the next 24 hours. The biggest note with that, not only the increase in cloud cover, but the rising temperatures and that southwest wind. Already above zero in southern Ontario. New York is above freezing as well as Boston. Even Moosonee at 0. That is the warmer air that's starting to push in from the southwest. Watch your timeline here. Onshore flurries coming to an end along the west coast. Winds gusting in that 50-60 range even into the overnight. But by the time we get to tomorrow, tapering off for most of us. Still some gusts possible to 60 early on. Now, it's flurries rolling into Labrador through the overnight tonight. Slight risk as far east as Happy Valley Goose Bay, but best chance for Labrador City. Pretty quiet and cloudy across the island, but another cool start. -10 to -15 for inland areas of the island. Watch your timeline here. That southwest wind takes over. We will see flurries coming in with this system. Gusts back up towards the 60-70 kilometer per hour range into the afternoon on Thursday for the west coast. And even in Labrador, we're going to be seeing some pretty gusty winds, but they're from the southwest. Won't feel quite as cool. Now, by the end of the day tomorrow, wouldn't be surprised if we do see some drizzle mixing in along the south coast, but winds again on the increase. We are talking about by the tomorrow evening time period, some gusts in that 70, even 80 kilometer per hour range along the south coast. But for the most part tomorrow, gusts in that 50 to 60 range. There are your highs then. 0 to generally -1 by supper time tomorrow. Wouldn't be surprised if we do still edge up a little bit through the supper hour into the early evening hours and then stall near freezing for most of us tomorrow. Some sun breaks for St. John's, the east, the northeast tomorrow. Pretty cloudy from start to finish for the west and southwest. And again, along Labrador's coastline, we will see a bit of sun early on and then that cloud cover chance of flurries into the afternoon and those flurries a little earlier for inland areas. Watch as we roll into the Friday time period. We've got an interesting setup for Labrador, no doubt, where I think we'll start with rain. Labrador City, Happy Valley Goose Bay will start as snow. Then we'll switch through the day. Happy Valley Goose Bay will mix to rain. Labrador City back to snow and a big temperature drop for Western Labrador from Friday morning through Friday night. On the island, the best chance of rain on Friday will indeed be along the west coast of the island. Temperatures in the 7 to 8 degree range across the island with mostly cloudy skies in the east. Scattered showers into the afternoon for you folks in central parts of Newfoundland. And then an interesting setup for the weekend. And this is why we have our special weather statements in effect. Significant freezing rain possible for central western areas. Rain for the east and a big warm up. The details are coming up in your long range. Debbie?
Thanks, Ryan. Well, St. John's Edge is hoping to redeem itself.
For the second night in a row, the NBL expansion team faces off against the Windsor Express.
Desmond Lee and fan favorite Carl English each scored 19 points, but it wasn't enough. With a final score of 111 to 103, last night's game was the first home court loss for the Edge.
And tonight's is the second of 9 games the team will play over the next 13 days. Busy schedule, and that includes 2 games this weekend against the Kitchener-Waterloo Titans.
And tonight's rematch starts at 7 o'clock at mile 1.
Now, staying with sports and sports history in a way and accomplishment, 2 of this province's finest athletes have been inducted into the Canadian Wheelchair Sports Association Hall of Fame.
That's a mouthful, but they deserve all the accolades. Joanne MacDonald and Mel Fitzgerald received the honors at a ceremony in Ottawa. Over a dozen years of competition, including 3 Paralympics and 3 Pan American Games, Joanne MacDonald took home her share of gold, silver, and bronze medals, about 60 in all. She was a longtime member of the Canadian women's basketball team and helped develop wheelchair basketball in this province.
Also, starting in the late 70s, Fitzgerald excelled as a wheelchair track athlete in the 800 and 1500 meter events, as well as marathons. You won gold in marathon competition, including at 2 Paralympics and 2 Pan American Games, setting world records along the way. He also competed in the 1500 meter demonstration wheelchair track event at the 1984 Olympics.
And you might recognize that's Rick Hansen. They were very competitive with each other, a lot of competitions between them. Joanne, of course, many of our viewers will know her as a longtime advocate for the rights of people with disabilities.
And Mel continues to represent the province nationally in sledge hockey and wheelchair curling.
Congratulations.
I'm so grateful, so excited.
And who wouldn't be? Keely Hutton heads for the bright lights of Broadway.
He's an ordinary guy with a high-end habit. Vernon Smith, the collector of classic cars.
If it's not original, it's not here.
Sunday at 12:30 and Monday at 7.
Well, Come From Away has been a huge hit in New York, and soon there'll be more homegrown talent on Broadway. Keely Hutton is a performer from St. John's who's been cast in the musical comedy Escape to Margaritaville, and that's based on the songs of Jimmy Buffett. I first interviewed Keely 10 years ago when she was a contestant on CBC's Triple Sensation. A lot has happened since. Keely was home recently and stopped by our studios. Absolutely great to see you, Keely. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, most people just dream of being on Broadway. How does it feel? You are going to be there.
I'm so grateful, so excited. I kind of can't believe that it's happening, really. Yeah.
I know it's taken a lot of work to get to where you are today, and we're going to talk about that. But first of all, I want to take you back 10 years to when you were a contestant on CBC's Triple Sensations. Just have a look. Here we go.
I'll build a stairway to paradise with a new step every day.
I could see you laughing. So what do you think when you look back like that, 10 years?
Well, I never like watching myself, so and my hair is all blonde, but that was a really cool experience too, and I can't believe, I mean, 10 years since that, I've worked all over Canada and 2 seasons at the Stratford Festival, and then living in New York for the past 4 years, and it just feels like a lot has happened since then, but it's been much of the same in a sense too, because I'm still doing the same thing.
So you have the Broadway lights beckoning. How tough was it for you to land a role in Escape to Margaritaville?
I feel like it was the culmination of 4 years of auditioning and making connections with casting there and taking a slew of classes. And I think it was just the right time and the right project for me and the right fit.
How do you manage with rejection? I mean, all those auditions, it's tough. You have to be tough.
Yeah, you have to be tough. That's definitely true. And I think it's something that you practice every time you go in and you get rejected. You just toughen up and you go back right into the ring and you try again, and you hope that all your work is going to pay off.
Well, it has this time. Tell me a little bit about Escape to Margaritaville and what your role is.
Sure. So it is a romantic comedy, boy meets girl, set in paradise, the place that everyone would want to escape to. Yeah. All of the music at Jimmy Buffett. The book is by Greg Garcia, who wrote My Name is Earl, and Mike O'Malley, who was in Glee and wrote Shameless.
Pretty good credentials there.
It's a great team of people. It's really funny. It's romantic at parts. There's adventure. There's a volcano eruption. And I'm the waitress, essentially, at Margaritaville Hotel and Bar, and dancing and wearing all kinds of different costumes.
Okay, we're going to show a clip of that, but I want to point out to the audience that your husband, Paul, has the lead role.
Yes.
So let's have a look.
There he is. There I am.
And there you are, the waitress. What a lot of energy in that show. It looks like fun. Is it fun to perform?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even if I'm in a bad mood going there, I'm always lifted as soon as it starts. I'm like, this is fun.
So, as I mentioned, your husband is playing the lead role, but you are the understudy for the female lead.
That's right.
That's fabulous.
Thank you. Yeah. It's lots of work, but lots of fun too, and it's good to be on my toes because I don't want to get sort of stuck in my, it keeps me fresh, and it's good to have that challenge.
So when does the show open, Keely?
It starts previewing next month, and then it opens at the Marquee March 15th.
Yeah. And does anything like come from away? There'll be a lot of Newfoundlanders in the audience.
So.
Well, as they say, break a leg. Your wish the very, very best.
Thank you so much.
So it really does look like a fun show, doesn't it, Anthony?
Yeah, especially with this kind of weather, kind of warm you up in those Hawaiian shirts and dancing around.
And a lot of people might recognize Keely's last name, a well-known musical family from St. John's. Yeah. Good luck to her.
All right, so a warm up on the way and then some uncertainty for Saturday, but certainly a threat for significant freezing rain across central western parts of Newfoundland. We'll dive into more details with your weekend forecast and your 7-day outlook after the break.
She applied for this one.
So let's meet our young athlete of the day. Now on Monday, you met Liam Wall, and today we introduce his older brother, Lucas.
All right, brothers in unison. Lucas from St. John's is 9 years old, and he also loves to play baseball with St. John's minor baseball, and he can't wait for the season to start up again.
Congratulations, Lucas. You're today's young athlete of the day.
Big smile.
Definitely. Nice.
Green grass, sunshine.
You know, I think we've picked these pictures purposely this week.
No hockey at all.
Yeah, to warm us up. So lots to talk about with the weekend, and so why don't we jump right into it? I think a couple of the main points that I want to stress here with this messy weekend setup. Number one, uncertainty. It's only Wednesday. Questions remain. The main question, how far south does the cold air track into Newfoundland? That is the difference between rain and freezing rain. The second is that freezing rain threat. If the cold air does sink south, that best chance of significant freezing rain is for western and central Newfoundland and the northern peninsula. Now, the warm-up for the east parts of Newfoundland looks pretty likely. The Avalon, the Burin likely to remain above freezing through this weekend, rain and even double-digit temperatures. And lastly, Labrador temps are set to tumble from plus-side temperatures Friday into the minus 20s and 30s by Saturday morning. In 24 hours, the bottom will drop right out in terms of those temperatures. I almost said it. Almost said it. You know what I was about to say, but I almost, that was close. Okay, current temperatures across North America right now. You can see where that warm air is building in through southern Ontario and all the way up into Quebec now. And that is the warm air that's on its way to our neck of the woods as we roll over the next 24 hours. Bye-bye to our latest low. Onshore flurries come to an end tonight, and the clouds quickly building in through Thursday. We will see some flurries pushing across the island into the afternoon, even some drizzle along that south coast. The Labrador region stays fairly quiet for tomorrow with some flurry chances. Here comes our next system. Snow for northern Labrador. Labrador City looks like start with rain, mix back over to snow as temperatures fall on the other side of this front. Happy Valley Goose Bay will go from snow to rain and then back to snow for Friday night, as again, temperatures on the other side of this front will really drop quickly. Now, as we roll into the Saturday time period, this is where things get a little more uncertain. This is one particular forecast model, area of high pressure building into Labrador, cold air pushing back with a vengeance as it rolls into Saturday. You can see where this model here is showing in pink the threat for significant freezing rain and ice pellets. Central Newfoundland, western Newfoundland, and towards the northern peninsula, rain and warm temps in the east. This is the exact same time period with a different forecast model, and look, the rain snow line is way up over southeastern parts of Labrador, keeps the island into that warm sector, keeps the freezing rain at bay. So still some disagreement with those longer range forecast models. Hopefully over the next 24 hours we will get a better idea, but if you are in central and western Newfoundland, at least prepare for the possibility of some freezing rain through Saturday afternoon into the overnight especially, and then into Sunday. It looks like we will see temperatures bottoming out in central parts of Newfoundland, closer to the freezing mark, but most of that freezing rain and the heaviest precip gone by then, though eastern Newfoundland still into the significant rain threat and the warm temps through Sunday, even into the Monday time period. So the best chance of double digits this weekend will indeed be Saturday by the looks of things now, but Friday's a warm one, Sunday's a warm one in the east, and again, more uncertainty for central and western parts of Newfoundland with that risk of some ice pellets and freezing rain in there for the Saturday afternoon into Sunday morning time period. Precip does lighten up for Sunday, temperatures closer to the freezing mark for both central and west. Now into Labrador, again, the big theme will be the temperatures really dropping through Friday into Saturday with quite a sharp temperature drop, and then temps staying cold right through the 7 day.
Thanks, Ryan. In national and international news, at least 15 people are dead after a series of mudslides in California. Rescue crews are searching the hills around Santa Barbara tonight, looking for survivors.
I looked over at the river and the trees were just coming down, choo, choo, choo. And we ran into the house, and right then the boulders busted through our house.
People to safety. Dozens of people are reported missing. The mudslides follow a violent rainstorm that dropped up to 15 centimeters of water.
U.S. President Donald Trump says it seems unlikely that he's going to give an interview to Robert Mueller. The special counsel is investigating alleged Russian interference in the 2016 election. Today, Trump was asked point blank if he would meet with Mueller.
Would you be willing to meet with him without condition, or would you demand that a strict set of parameters be placed around any encounter between you and the special counsel?
Well, again, John, there has been no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russians, or Trump and Russians. No collusion.
Trump then accused the Democratic Party of creating a hoax because they lost the last election. Protests today at more than a dozen Tim Hortons locations across Ontario. One of the province's biggest labor unions organized the demonstrations. Workers at some coffee shops are upset over losing employee benefits. The cuts were made by franchise owners after the Ontario government raised the minimum wage. Linda Ward reports.
Tim Hortons locations like these all across the province. Protesters have been greeting coffee seekers with a side order of strong language. Stop cutting workers' wages and benefits. Now, this all started January 1st when the province upped the minimum wage to $14 an hour, and that's when some Tim Hortons workers started coming forward saying that franchisees had been cutting paid breaks and other benefits. Now, Jared Ong works for the Workers Action Center. You've been hearing from some of these employees who've been reaching out to you. Just tell us what they have been telling you about their situation.
So workers are scared that the benefits are going to be taken away. I think it's unfair that a company which makes profit, millions of dollars of profit, whose CEO makes $6 million a year, is taking away coffee breaks when they're profiting off people taking coffee breaks.
Thank you very much. And we've also been hearing as well from some folks showing up here on their coffee breaks, greeted by these protesters. Here's what they told CBC News today.
Maybe they could spend a little bit of the money that they make
You know, every Tim Hortons is a cash cow, so I mean, the owners could afford to put a few dollars into it.
Well, some franchisees have said that Tim Hortons' parent corporation, Restaurant Brands International, should help them deal with the rise in the minimum wage by cutting some of their costs or even raising the price of a cup of coffee. Well, Tim Hortons' parent company has also made a statement saying that these actions are by a bunch of what they call rogue franchisees. They do not reflect their values. Regardless, the Ontario Federation of Labor says that they need to pressure their franchisees to restore the benefits that they say have been taken away, and if they don't, the Ontario Federation of Labor promises we will see an uprising, a labor uprising in this province like we haven't seen in a very long time. Linda Ward, CBC News, Toronto.
To Alberta now, where officials are trying to find out what caused the deaths of 3 young people found in a vehicle in a small northern community. Their identities have not been released, but police say all 3 have different surnames and are not residents of the area. The 3 were found by a security guard inside a vehicle that was stopped near the community of Conklin, about 150 kilometers south of Fort McMurray. The RCMP says there's no indication of any criminal connection to the deaths, and there were no signs of foul play. Officers say they're considering all possible factors, including whether carbon monoxide poisoning played a role.
The federal government is putting nearly $300 million more into policing First Nations and Inuit communities over the next 5 years.
The program works. It simply needs to have more horsepower behind it, which comes from better financing.
Ralph Goodale says the new money means stable funding and upgrades to a program that started in 1991. The terms are expected to be finalized in discussions with the provinces, territories, and Indigenous communities by the end of March. Ottawa funds 52% of the cost of the program, with the remaining 48% coming from provincial and territorial coffers. The aim is to enhance public safety for nearly 430,000 people by improving training and resources for about 1,300 police officers. Long-term stable funding is expected to make it easier to recruit and retain police in selected communities.
Well, here's a question. If you found a wallet full of cash, what would you do? A group representing credit unions in Atlantic Canada came up with a social experiment to see what might happen. Brett Ruskin has the details.
Well, this experiment saw 12 wallets stuffed with cash dropped in various public locations all across Atlantic Canada to see how many people would pick up the wallets, take a look to see what's inside, call the number inside that says, if you find this, call this number to return it. And the results of this experiment, 9 out of 12 wallets were returned to the owners. Now, the funding and the cash for this project was provided by the Atlantic Credit Unions. It's an organization that represents about 50 credit unions all across Atlantic Canada, and they say that they don't know exactly what happened to the other 3 wallets, whether people just kept them or whether they are still out there waiting to be found. But 9 out of 12 isn't bad, and all of those wallets that were returned all had the contents of the wallet still in there, including about $100 in cash and change. Now, I asked the organizers of this if there was any kind of a consistency or patterns about who the people were who returned them. Have a listen to what they said.
There was a young boy who found it when he was out with his mom. He was homesick and he did a grocery store run with her and he found it and he wanted to return it. And then somebody who was a little bit older who found it in the street and felt like it was important to return it. But young, old, male, female, certainly a wide variety.
And the other twist in this story is that the people who brought back the wallets were then offered the chance to keep the money from the wallet. They were offered the $100 as a reward for doing the right thing. In addition to that, the Atlantic Credit Unions donated $50 to the charity of the person's choice. And on top of this, we were told that one person who found the wallet, called the number, brought it back, was offered the $100 reward, also took that reward and donated that to charity. So overall, a great news story here in Atlantic Canada. Brett Ruskin, CBC News, Halifax.
And just in case you're wondering how the rest of the world stacks up in the honesty department, Reader's Digest did its own global lost wallet test. The capital of Finland, Helsinki, came out on top with 11 out of 12 wallets returned. And yes, coming up number 2, New York, with 8 wallets coming back. Just 5 out of 12 in London, and at the bottom of the list, the Portuguese capital, Lisbon. Just 1 wallet returned.
Well, our viewer picture of the day, only a couple of possibilities as to where this could be, given the caribou there.
It's in Helsinki. They found the wallets.
Helsinki or somewhere on the island. You choose.
Well, there's no big mountains, so I'd
tough.
say on the island, down the southern shoreway. We'll find out, won't we, Brian?
We will, after the break.
And welcome back to Here and Now. So many people in Atlantic Canada were impacted by that powerful snowstorm last week.
But humans were not the only ones who were affected. An animal refuge in Nova Scotia is treating more than 60 birds that got blown around in these really strong hurricane-force winds.
Hope for Wildlife says it received hundreds of calls about injured seabirds, including a sea duck who suffered a head injury in the foul storm. I didn't write that.
But he's expected to make a full recovery, and Debbie obviously won't be paying the bill. More animals in a second.
Getting the runaround is what this backyard racetrack is all about.
A Boston librarian and his girlfriend say they shoveled it after last week's big storm to get their 2 greyhounds some exercise.
And it's been off to the races on social media ever since. And as you may know, greyhounds can run like thoroughbreds.
Yep, the big horses. But greyhounds, no fans of the cold, right? They have 0 body fat. And only of the pair, only one would go outside in the freezing weather, which people also bet on these, so that makes the betting a little easier. And as you can see, clearly this one is in the winner's circle, zipping around.
That would be thoroughbred, wouldn't it? That's great.
I love how even the owner wasn't outside though. That was taken
right.
through
Shooting from
the window,
That's
right? I'm staying with this greyhound. Let's film the crazy one running around the backyard. Great shot there. We're going to stick with the animal theme for our viewer picture of the day, and a great one here. And Debbie, ding, 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 the big winner tonight. Yes. So down, as you noted, no big mountains in the background there. This one was actually taken on the road to St. Shots on the Southern Avalon. So great shot there. And tonight, the bonus feature, there's actually 2 shots. So the first one, both are from Sharon Topping on the St. Shots Road, I believe is what it's called, and some great picture there.
Oh.
Yeah, this is a great one. Not quite as weathery, but what a shot. And I love the, just a beautiful animal there. The hair, you can see his...
just the wind blowing the
definitely
around the chest.
Bit of frost on the nose.
For sure.
I'm so glad to hear and see that there are caribou on the southern shore. There used to be so many over the years, and perhaps they're
Good to see
coming
a few
back
more.
in big numbers.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Anyway, that's our program for tonight. Have a great night. See you back here tomorrow.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.